Protest has broken out in several Ukrainian cities this morning at the news that the defence minister has been removed by President Zelensky. He was a popular figure with the public, seen as a moderniser of the Ukrainian military, and it's provoked a spontaneous reaction. It follows the dismissal of the Prime Minister earlier this week, and into this maelstrom flies our Prime Minister Stig. He landed in Kyiv this morning for a summit just before he leaves the office of Prime Minister. Well, Michael Bociurkiw is Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council and founder of the World Briefing Report on Substack, and he joins us now from Odessa. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be back with you.
Well, it's great to have you back. Shall we just start with what's going on here? Because President Zelensky does seem to be making some significant changes at the very top of the government in Ukraine. We heard about the Prime Minister, and that news was received, I think, pretty well. But the removal of the Defence Minister after, I think, 6 months in office has really gone down quite badly.
Yes, indeed. And Brits weren't the only ones to wake up miserable this morning. A lot of Ukrainians did, and they woke up baffled at this, many are calling a boneheaded decision by Mr. Zelensky to sack a very, very popular minister by the name of Mikhailo Fedorov. He used to be the Minister of Digitization. And I don't over-exaggerate this when I say this, is that he is responsible for Ukrainians having their government in their pocket, in their smartphone. He was the person behind digitization of Ukraine. So all of your documents now, passport, everything, are on your phone. And that's something that is very tangible during wartime, because when you have to flee, as millions have, you have all of your documents with you in your pocket. But the other, more tangible thing he did in recent times was really reform an enormous bureaucracy where, get this, the entire state budget now goes to this one part of the government, which is the military. Social services are funded mostly by the outside. So he brought about many reforms, especially in terms of procurement, because this was viewed as quite a corrupt body. But also he did things like reform and improve Ukraine's strike capabilities within Russia. With those long-range drones and missiles. But also he, for example, almost doubled the amount of interceptions of Russian incoming drones. So again, this is something everybody here feels. And now with his removal and with no real proper explanation by the Zelensky circle on why this was done, people are very angry. In fact, protests have already started nationwide, including here in Odessa. It is being compared to a move by Zelensky last year to decapitate the anti-corruption bodies, and there were widespread protests there as well. So not a good day for Zelensky.
No, and he had to reverse, I think, some of those decisions. Michael, obviously it's the early days here, and he hasn't given a reason, but do you have any inclination as to why President Zelensky would have removed Fedorov from this position?
Well, a lot of conspiracy theories going on, but it's now, after so many years of Zelensky, fallen into a pattern. Many people may not recall, but when he first came to power, sweeping victory, not only vote-wise, but also in parliament with his Servant of the People Party, he dismissed, unexplainably, a lot of good technocrats, Western educated, as Fedorov was, by the way, and replaced him with people in his own circle. And, this is a man who seems to have some odd whisper in his ear that gives him advice that falls flat with the Ukrainian people. And it has to be said, his popularity is falling quite a bit. In a way, he reminds me a bit of my former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, where in his last days in office, he was more popular outside Canada than within, where he would spend more time out of the country than within, for example, going for Vogue shoots in LA and I guess dating movie stars. But that's where we are right now, and not a good time in the war either.
Well, and just finally, obviously Keir Starmer is there. It's his final visit to Ukraine as Prime Minister. Is there anything significant expected from the meeting between these two men today?
Well, not that I know of. I mean, of course, Keir Starmer has been seen as a very close friend of Ukraine. He did a lot to help Ukraine. So it seems to be a bit of a pattern there too, isn't it? That politicians come here to take selfies with Zelensky before they pack themselves off. I guess Emmanuel Macron will be here before long too. But, it's a symbol of support, which Ukraine needs right now. And I got to put one more thing here quickly, is that we're at a terrible, terrible time in Ukraine right now. Here in Odessa, it's starting to sound like Beirut at the worst times of the war because of all the incoming missiles and lack of kit to intercept them. I can't overemphasize that right now, where a lot of people are now having to rethink their plans to stay, including me.
That's really interesting. And Michael, we'd love to have you back on next week to talk a bit more about that if you are able to. Michael Bociurkiw, thank you so much for joining us. As ever, great to have your thoughts. Michael Bociurkiw there in Odessa.
Let's speak now to the Ukrainian MP, Oleksiy Goncharenko. Oleksiy, good evening to you. Thank you for being with us.
Hello.
Your patch, of course, covers Odessa and those strikes last night. Just take us through the operation. How has it affected trade out of Odessa? It is a key shipping port, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely key port, not just for Ukraine, but in general for agricultural export of the world, one of the main harbors of the world. And unfortunately, these attacks are happening also right now. Already for near 5 days, Russia is attacking Odessa and ports of Odessa constantly, like many times per day. So that is awful. And Russia is trying to stop operating of Odessa ports. Already today, we see that because they also attack vessels, and there are also seamen killed from crew of the vessels which were coming to Odessa. So the aim of Russia is to stop operating of Odessa port, understanding all the consequences of this both to Ukraine and to the world.
Okay, and look, I mean, your line is a little weak, so we don't have an incredibly clear line to you. So apologies if you've discussed this already. But I wonder, it is a key trade route. They are important ports, both Odessa and Chernomorsk as well. Is this a retaliation, do you think, by Russia because of the anti-missile coalition? It was announced by the Coalition of the Willing, by those key nations on Monday. And I wonder whether this is Russian retaliation.
I speak louder. I hope that will help you to hear me better. It's not a retaliation. From the very beginning of the war, Russia tries to stop operating of Odessa ports. And that is super important for them, both because it influences Ukrainian economy, but also because that causes a lot of chaos in the world. Because from the operating of Odessa port, the price of grain is dependent throughout the whole planet.
Okay. All right. In terms of how Ukraine intends to be able to prevent this type of action by Russia, there are, of course, lots of attacks being traded back and forth. But, you know, Odessa and this important trade route is vital for Ukraine's economy, vital to its wartime economy, isn't it? And so what kind of protections will then Ukraine put in place?
Absolutely vital. Odessa ports and these transportation is absolutely vital for Ukrainian economy. So Ukraine will do everything we can in order to protect the port and the vessels coming. But I hope here for the help of our allies and the world, because from what's going on in Odessa, and you know, in this case, Odessa is like Las Vegas. So what's going on in Odessa will not stay in Odessa. It will be felt throughout the whole world. In the United Kingdom, people will feel the rise of prices on fish and chips. But in small and poorer countries, that can cause a starvation, like it was in the beginning of 2022. So I hope that the world will react, because there is a lot of humanitarian influence and there is a lot of humanitarian consequences if Odessa ports and Ukrainian agricultural export will be stopped. According to estimations of United Nations, 400 million people in the world are dependent from calories from Ukrainian crops.
All right. Well, look, thank you for being with us. Really appreciate it. Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Goncharenko there. Apologies for the line there, folks. A little bit patchy.